Coming into this year, Hubert Davis's seat is going to be a little bit hotter. Man, oh man, what's going on, Tar Heel Nation? My name is Nathan. I'm one half of your Hill Brothers. And the topic we're getting ready to talk about today is one that has been going on for the last couple of years. We've even had it here on this channel before. And right now, it's more prevalent than ever. It stokes a fire within our fan base, and rightfully so. It's understandable because the guy, Hubert Davis, is an awesome guy. We love this guy. He has been, he's a fun head coach to watch and to listen to week in and week out. He's a very likable guy, and he's a guy that, in my opinion, hasn't done a horrible job or anything like that. He's had some really good moments, but there has been some inconsistencies. Hubert Davis is coming into this season, and this one in particular, I think, could be the make or break season for Hubert Davis. Now, he is a guy that has been here for North Carolina for a few years now. He's been the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Came in the first year, got us to the national championship game. The regular season did not go that well for us. It was not a great regular season. It was kind of mediocre at best. You had the Dawson Garcia nonsense going on in the middle of that. Once he finally left, the team caught fire and made their way all the way to the national championship game, unfortunately losing that 15-point lead to Kansas. Then you followed up the next year with a team that everybody was back, unfortunately, outside of Brady Manick, who obviously was the motor for that team that first year under Hubert Davis. That guy was just an animal, man. He could shoot the ball from anywhere. He had that hype spirit about him. He was a spark plug kind of guy. He was just the best kind of player. And they brought in Pete Nance to try and spell for that, and unfortunately it didn't work out as well. Pete Nance didn't end up being the shooter that we were hoping that he would have been, that we kind of saw from Northwestern, and it was kind of like having two bigs out there with Armando Bacot and him. Then you follow up the next season, Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram, Jalen Withers. This team was outstanding. Just unfortunately had a great year. Unfortunately, runners up in the ACC championship game to NC State, but made their way down to the Sweet 16 and ran into a much taller Alabama team that Nelson kid just absolutely went flipping bananas on North Carolina in that game. And I think it dropped 30 or something like that in the game against us, and ultimately beat us and sent us home, which is very unfortunate because that team right there was probably one of the best. It was the best team, I think, so far that Hubert Davis has had at North Carolina, and they looked absolutely unstoppable at times during that season. Then you get to this past season that just happened. Coming into the season, you were going to lose Cormac and Harrison, and there was going to be some pieces that you had lost, Armando Bacot as well. And who are you going to get to replace them? And they really bet on Jalen Washington to have take the next step. They brought in Vin Allen Lubin. They brought in, obviously, the returning Elliot Cadeau. You had Ian Jackson coming in, the big time, the 5-star guard that you were looking forward to having. And the season, when we looked at the roster construction coming in, I think a lot of us were very skeptical, to say the least. But there was some optimists out there. I personally was, very optimistic at what the team could potentially do. You heard reports of them being maybe the fastest team going up and down the floor. They were going to have to do something like that, considering their size. They weren't going to be able to defend taller players. And as well, I mean, not saying they couldn't defend them at all, but they weren't going to be able to defend them as well. And unfortunately, this season just didn't pan out. You got into the NCAA tournament, which is good because that was very, very close. And there's a controversy that North Carolina shouldn't have been in. I was of the mindset that they considering the teams that they got just above, I thought they needed to get in that as well. Considering their hard schedule, they played a lot of hard teams and had some good wins in there. Had an overall pretty good record, and Carolina found their way into the NCAA tournament. And I wasn't mad. I didn't think that they were ushered in because of the North Carolina brand per se. A lot of people can argue that. You guys can argue that down there in the comments if you'd like. But Carolina found their way into the NCAA tournament at least, and then got bounced out after the basically the play-in game, basically against San Diego State, where they blitzed them. They faced Ole Miss and just were no match for them, unfortunately. That ended their season. And that leads us to today. The aftermath of this past season has been not quiet, to say the least. A lot of players have left. Ian Jackson is gone. Ben Allen Lubin is gone to NC State, as we've talked about before on this channel. Elliot Cadeau has finally left. You're losing guys. RJ Davis gone. Drake Powell gone into the NBA draft to the Brooklyn Nets. Pick 22 got picked by the Atlanta Hawks, traded to the Nets. RJ Davis signs an undrafted free agent to the Los Angeles Lakers over there. Jalen Withers is gone, and I think that's everybody that is left out of that area. But Jalen Washington as well, off to Vanderbilt. So you've lost a lot of players this past year, and people are kind of wondering, who are you going to get in to replace these players? And we saw the names come in. Andre Vasir, which I don't know exactly how to say his name. Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments. Do like the little thing in parentheses that everybody does. I forget the name of that thing where they actually like sound out what the name would sound like. I need that. Maybe I'm saying it right. I got no idea. You bring him in. You obviously have the recruits and Caleb Wilson, the big time 5-star. Everybody's looking forward to seeing a little bit of clips. I've saw him already on campus at North Carolina. Holy cow, I'm excited about that guy. Isaiah Dennis, Derek Dixon, you brought him in. Kyan Evans out of Colorado State. Drake, the Powell kid, Jonathan Powell, there we go, out of West Virginia. You bring in also the Jaron Stevenson out of Alabama, the North Carolina kid, the Chapel Hill kid that Carolina went heavy for, but he committed to Alabama, busted us up, helped those teams bust us up a couple of times, and now he's found his way over to North Carolina as well. Hubert Davis and Jim Tanner, the brand new GM for North Carolina, which is something that they announced during this past season that they will be bringing in a GM, have done a great job, in my opinion, of rebuilding this roster into hopefully being able to get back to that 2 years ago kind of team, a team that is in the Sweet 16, get North Carolina back in the pictures that we're used to seeing North Carolina get into the ACC championship games, into the NCAA tournaments, getting deep runs into the NCAA tournaments, and making Carolina respectable. And this is where I want to get to today. Hubert Davis's seat, whether we like it or not, or we think it's right or not, whether you prefer it or not, is a lot hotter this year than it has ever been. North Carolina has done what they can do now to bring themselves back into prominence. We saw this on the football side of things. Obviously, we know with Bill Belichick coming in, the NIL money that went into the football program. But the same kind of thing has been happening over here with North Carolina basketball as well. There was a recent article that came out from the university that with all the revenue share and the surplus of NIL money, the two places it was primarily going was football and basketball. North Carolina basketball is getting the money sent in, and that's been something that North Carolina's never really done before. Went all in money wise with even their basketball tournaments. I mean, we see 8 miles up the road, Duke does it all the daggum time, which kind of helps them get in these Johnny 5-stars that we see all the time. But North Carolina hasn't done that. They've been one about bringing in players that fit the program, that want to go and play for North Carolina and go to the University of North Carolina and be a part of the family. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But in this level, in this day and age of NIL, that being able to win you recruits is becoming less and less of a possibility. And we saw this, which is hence the reason you get in a Jim Tanner to be a general manager. A lot of teams a lot of these collegiate schools have went to GMs. This isn't that North Carolina's kind of late to that party. And they did that this year, and they brought in somebody that can kind of help in that financial world and help Hubert Davis and kind of relieve some of that stress off of Hubert. That way he can primarily focus on going after recruits and Jim can handle with them in the on the back end. Kind of the same way with Michael Lombardi for Bill Belichick, can handle them on the back end. But Carolina has been reported. I don't know if this is true or not, but from all the reports, it suggests that Carolina this year spent up to $14 million on roster reconstruction. To reconstruct this roster into what we're seeing right now on paper for what North Carolina has this year, they spent upwards to $14 million. With that money, I think they did a good job with it. You brought in size, you brought in shooting, you brought in defense, you brought in some edginess, and I think the team is built very well. But Hubert Davis has got to go make this team work. It has to win you a lot of basketball games and put you in a position where getting into the NCAA tournament isn't a conversation around March. Are you going to get in? Are you not going to get in? Is it a possibility? Are you a bubble team? Carolina should never be a bubble team. Just like we would say Alabama in football should never be a team that's kind of, just in a bowl game, just a bowl game team. They should be in that national picture. Carolina's a blue blood. And being at North Carolina, as we all understand, for basketball, comes with a lot of pressure. Hubert knows this. He was a player here. He's been a coach under Roy Williams for 9 years and been the head coach now for 5. Hubert understands this. And if this team gets down the road in March, and this is barring no injuries. Now, if there's major injuries to players, okay, it's a little bit of a different story. But barring no injuries, barring having a clean year injury-wise, relatively clean year, you got all your guys for most of the year, you've got to get this team. I'm not saying you got to go win a national championship. No, we don't need that. But Carolina's got to have a bounce-back year. It's got to have a year where they're getting to that Sweet 16, Elite 8 possibly. With the roster you've constructed, I don't see how you can. And honestly, with the ACC built this year, quite frankly, I don't see how the ACC championship should be out of the picture. The only team that's really scary, in my opinion, in the ACC this year has got to only be Duke, and that's it. Outside of that, Clemson, unfortunately, has lost a lot of players, so they've kind of fallen off. We'll see what happens with them. NC State, they got a brand new head coach. We'll see what they do. I feel like they'll be a little extra zesty this year. But there's nobody else. Virginia, still rebuilding, trying to figure out what's going on with them. Syracuse, still trying to figure it out. Don't know what's going on out there on the West Coast teams that are part of the ACC, and Stanford and SMU and Cal. Don't understand what's going on with them. They just lost Cal Ostojakovic, or I think his name is, or something of that nature. There's really not much going on in the ACC outside of that. So Carolina can't be a team that's battling within the ACC outside of Duke. They got to be in that ACC championship picture, in that ACC championship game, and also when it gets to the NCAA tournament, you need to be. Oh yeah, Carolina, lock in. You got to lock that thing in, man. You got to be in that tournament, no problem, no hiccups, and get in there, and then see where the ball rolls at. Just see how that goes. We all know the NCAA tournament's crazy and teams get beat and this, that, and the other thing, but I don't think Carolina can afford to be an early exit out of the NCAA tournament this year. Hubert Davis needs some wins. He needs some big wins to win over this fan base, keep the momentum for him in this fan base, and show them, okay, all right, it's all right, we're good here. Because this up and down roller coaster that we're on every single year is not a good thing. We as North Carolina fans, and I'm pretty sure I can easily say we in this, are not very happy, considering what Twitter looks like every time North Carolina basketball goes out there and the ball rolls out and we see this roller coaster up and down. A lot of people are sick of this. A lot of heads at North Carolina are also sick of this. This is a fact. This is a known fact. There are some people, some high up people in that organization that are not happy that Carolina basketball finds themselves in this situation and has been on this little roller coaster. And with bringing in Jim Tanner, and you spent $14 million to reconstruct this roster, Hubert Davis has got to make it work. I like Hubert Davis. I like him a lot. He's got to find a way to make this thing work. Because if not, I don't think that North Carolina will continue to have Hubert Davis as their head coach. I think this is a make or break year for him. Considering you brought in Tanner, considering you brought in the $14 million, considering you on paper you've done really good. And I say on paper because we don't know what the team looks like yet. But this team really looks good, in my opinion. I'm really excited to see what this team does, come late fall. You got to go make it work. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Tell me if you think I'm crazy. Tell me what your thoughts are on Hubert Davis. Are you excited with him? Do you think that this conversation about him being on the hot seat is dumb, or you agree with it? Where are you at on it? I want to hear your thoughts down there in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hubert Davis finds himself in a very sticky situation, and if it's another bad year, I personally don't see Hubert Davis surviving it. Depending on, and I say it's only a bad year if your players get hurt, which you don't hope that at all, of course. But if there are injuries or major injuries, different story. He's got a full healthy team with the talent that he's put around, and they still are a bubble-ish team and maybe don't make the tournament, which I don't see that happening, or even a first-round exit out of the NCAA tournament after being a bubble team like they were this past season, it's not going to go good for Hubert. It's not going to go good. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, go Heels.